This is the DZ09 smartwatch. It's kind of currently the rage, mainly because these watches are extremely cheap and they do a lot for the price that you get. So it's kind of a bang for the buck. However, it does not come perfect, and there are some issues with this watch. But again, they're like $15 to $20. If I can find a good deal on this watch, I will go ahead and put a link in the description so you can get a good deal. Let's go ahead and start this review. Some of the things I do not like about this watch is the bands are proprietary. You cannot replace them. The watch is not waterproof. It has a grill down here, so water can seep right in there and get to the components. So if you get it wet, you're probably going to ruin it. It does seem to be fairly scratch resistant. It's a kind of a flimsy feeling display, but I have not scratched it yet. That's one good quality. The camera is horrifyingly bad. There is a camera built onto this watch. It is probably one of the worst cameras I have seen in years. The size of this watch, it is huge. Compared to a Pebble, the Pebble is actually a pretty big watch. And if you look, this watch is a little bit thicker and a little bit longer and a little bit wider. So it is kind of a large watch. So if you put it on a modest-sized wrist like mine, it looks really big. And even compared to the Pebble, which I always thought the Pebble looked pretty big, here's a Pebble. The Pebble looks a little more realistic. All of those being said, it is a very inexpensive smartwatch, and it does do what a smartwatch does. So when you get a message from your phone, you will get the message on your smartwatch. Now, as you can see, the screen is black right now, and that is because this is not what is considered an always-on display. So the Pebble, since it has what they call e-ink technology in it, it doesn't take any electricity for the Pebble to put this display on. Once the colors rotate and all the pixels change, it takes no power to keep the screen on, which is why the Pebble lasts about 7 days on a charge. This watch lasts about 1 day on a charge, if you're lucky. Now, I've been able to get 1 day, but I don't use this as heavy as most people use their smartwatches. To turn it on, you have to press this button on the bottom, and that turns it on. So when you want to know your time, you have to reach around to your wrist, press this button to turn it on. Other than that, it seems to be an okay watch with some other issues, and we'll get into those next. So I am told that this watch really excels when you get a working SIM in it. Yes, this watch is a complete cell phone. You don't need a cell phone to make phone calls on this watch if you have a SIM in it. You also can browse the internet. If you go through the menu, it has a browser, and it has a WhatsApp, Twitter, there's the browser right there, and Facebook. Now, these apps only work if you have a SIM card that works in the watch. If you have it tied to your phone, which I guess in Chinese they call that company mode instead of companion mode, then you can't use those apps. They're completely worthless. There are some other features of the watch that are kind of cool though. First of all, any notification you get to your Android phone will come to this watch, and I mean any notification. It doesn't matter if it's a low battery or you got an app that needs updated. If it's a notification, it'll come to this watch. So that is pretty cool. But it will not receive multimedia messages. So if somebody sends you a picture, you still got to pull your phone out and look at it to see the picture. With all of that being said, the review that I'm going to give you is a little bit biased for someone who cannot make a SIM card work in the watch. No matter what I did, the SIM card that I purchased didn't want to work, and it was compatible with the watch. I went to the people that sold me the SIM card at the counter. We worked with it. The technicians worked with it. The odd thing is the watch would boot in emergency mode. It would let us make a 911 call. However, it would never activate on the account, and ergo just would not work unless you needed to call 911. When I got online to do a little research, apparently some of these watches come with a firmware that is broken, and apparently I have one. And the symptoms of that firmware is just that. It will not work with the SIM. And if you do a little digging around and Googling, you're going to find all kinds of people that bought this watch and could not make it work with their SIM card. So kind of a sad story, because if it doesn't work with the SIM, the majority of this watch simply does not work. All of those little features and applications and browsing the internet and stuff like that doesn't work, so I couldn't test it. You're supposed to be able to download apps. There is kind of a hidden secret app store built into the watch. That being said, it needs a SIM card. So when you try to go into that store, it says SIM card needed. So I couldn't even load any other apps on this watch. It's supposed to support another file format. I think it's a VXP. I might be wrong on that. I loaded those onto the watch, and even those would not run. And again, when you Google the watch, the later watches just don't support that anymore. Now, that being said, when you tie this phone to your watch via Bluetooth, all of your notifications do come to your wrist, and those work pretty well. You get the notification, you touch this button to turn your screen on, you read your messages. It will not receive multimedia messages, but you can read your text messages. All of that works great. There is one caveat to this that makes this watch kind of annoying, if not useless to me. Once you tie it to your watch, you have some options in your Bluetooth settings to make this function as a headset and also to make this function as an external speaker for your phone. The sound quality is really bad, so I don't want to use this watch as an external speaker. I also don't want to use this watch as a headset. So once I disable the headset functionality and I disable the speakerphone functionality, the watch totally disconnects itself from the phone and no longer works as a smartwatch. It doesn't receive any messages. I can do one or either. I can make it a speakerphone and disconnect the headset, but then I have to deal with whenever I have sound, the sound goes through my wrist and I don't want that. Or I can make it only a headset, and then when somebody calls, I can't disable it quick enough to answer the phone. So it's got some really annoying features because of that. Had they did away with that or made it so you could turn those off, the watch would be okay for $15. So basically, to wrap up a review that went way longer than this watch deserves, you get some apps, and we'll scroll through those apps that will work if your sim doesn't work. So you get your calendar function. It does have an alarm. Has a calculator. It's pretty decent, which could be pretty handy. Not that your phone doesn't have one. It's got a sound recorder, which has horrible recording quality. Your Bluetooth settings. Has a camera, an audio player, and again, the audio player kind of stinks since the sound quality is bad. It has a pedometer. I haven't tried it. There's a sleep monitor. I haven't used it. There's one of these guys down here. I have not tried it either. This barcode you open up and you scan it with your phone. It's where you get your software. It does have an anti-loss. You hit that, it'll make your phone ring, which is kind of cool. Facebook, browser, Twitter, WhatsApp, none of that stuff works unless you have a SIM card that works. I do not. It's kind of about it. There's an image viewer. You can view images that are on here. Again, you can't view MMS, but if you were to take some pictures or send them to the watch, you can view them. Your notifiers here, so you can see all the notifications that you have. Has a file manager, and it has a remote capture, and that's kind of cool. Basically, when you hit that, it uses the camera on your phone remotely, and you can take pictures with it. So you could use your watch as kind of like a previewer before you snap the picture, or maybe you just want to spy on somebody. You leave your phone on your desk and you think somebody's there and you're a few cubicles away. You could probably watch them with that. A little creepy, but yeah, you get what you get. Pull up your messaging from here. The call center is kind of cool when it's paired with the phone. You can actually make phone calls, or I guess it's a dialer. You can make phone calls and send and receive them, and that does work. It's just not very good quality. You can pull up your phone book. I'm not going to pull that up because I don't want you guys to see all my contacts and your messaging. So that stuff all works in companion mode, or AKA company mode. $15, is it worth it? If you want notifications to your watch and you can deal with some of the annoyances, I'd say. Would I buy this watch again? No, I would not. For me, it is not a good watch. For somebody that just wants notifications to the wrist, it's probably okay. So there you have it. Like I said, I'll put a link in the description if I can find a good deal on this. Hopefully this helps you guys decide if you want one of these or not. They're only $15. So it's not like it's a huge loss if you buy it, you don't like it. But $15 is $15. So there you go.